So hello friends, welcome back to the second lecture of the video series for the lectures in biology. Okay, we were discussing the topic cell, and we have discussed very basic details which are related with this chapter, that is definition. We have learned that cell is smallest structural and functional unit of living body. And to understand this, we have learned the organization of how various systems are working in our body. We also learned the historical aspects, that how the word cell was coined, right? So the word cellular and its meaning and the historical perspective related with this cellular we have learned. So moving ahead with the same topic, today's topic, we are going to emphasize on the variation in the size and shape which are related with the cells. But along with this, it is important to learn that even though there are so much variation in size and shape of the cells, but most of this, they still have a similar type of intracellular components. Okay, so the question arises that which are the components that you consider as an intracellular, or in other words, how will you define cell when a cell is called as a cell? That is what we are trying to find. So let's check with a diagram. This is a diagram of typical animal cell, and that is given in the textbook of the biology 11th standard NCERT. Fine. So you can just see that this animal cell, outer covering of animal cell is referred as a cell membrane or plasma membrane. The core of cell is having genetic material, and this genetic material is enclosed in a specialized structure that is referred as a nucleus. So two structures, cell membrane, nucleus, and third one is in between these two structures, that is cytoplasm. Whatever that is present between cell membrane and nucleus is called as a cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is made up of two things: cytosol, which is a fluid, right, having lots of water and dissolved minerals, and these are some of the intracellular organelles. Organelles, the word means little organ like structure, right, because they behave like a little organ, that's why they are referred as organelles. And these organelles, you know that some of these you must be knowing, like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, right? These are some of the common intracellular components. And as this sentence says that even though there is variation in size and shape, some cells are as small as 5 micrometer, 4 micrometer, some are as big as 100 micrometer, then also the component, they are same, right? Even if you go for the variation of shape, some of the cells are oval, some of the cells are rectangle, columnar, right, cube like structures, but still this component remains same. But for that, as I told you, that you should be knowing the definition of cell. A cell is referred as a cell only when it composed of three things: cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. Fine. So this is the details. Fine. Now another question that you should ask, that if I am saying that there is variation in size, then you will say that when should I consider it as a variation? That means, what is a normal size of a cell? So the answer is, the normal size of a mammalian cell is 10 to 20 micrometer in diameter, right? Remember that we are considering a mammalian cell. Even this is true for a eukaryotic cell, right? On the basis of nuclear organization, a cell can be divided in two types: eukaryote, U refers to true, and karyon refers to nucleus. One which is having a true nuclear organization is referred as a eukaryotic cell. and one which is not having a true nuclear organization, that is referred as a prokaryote. Pro means before, one which is having a very what we call as a preliminary type of a nuclear organization, that is called as a prokaryote. So say for example bacteria. Bacteria is example of prokaryotic cell. Human cell is an example of eukaryotic cell. Right? Definitely we are going to get details of this prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell structure, but then in the upcoming lectures. Fine. So average size of a mammalian cell. Mammalian again because we belong to the species, right, who have a developed mammary gland, right? It's a characteristic of our species. That's why we are mammalian. So mammalian cell is of 10 to 20 micrometer in diameter. So when you go for such type of studies which are related to cell, studies which are related to cellular structures, that study is referred as a cytology, right? So cyto, definitely it is meant as a cell, and logy, it means study, right? So now you should be very clear with this suffix and such type of a prefix. Wherever these type of words are there, you should be able to understand, right? So if someone asks you what is cytology, cytology is a branch of science, is a branch of biology which deals with the study of cell and its structures. If someone asks you who was the first to learn the cytology, your answer will be Robert Hooke, right? He was the first to study the cell structure. So these are very basic definition. As I told you earlier also, today's theme we are going to focus on the size and shape of the cells. So let's check a diagram of NCERT where they have shown variation in the shape of the cell. These all cells will be covered as a part of either animal physiology, human physiology, or plant physiology in the upcoming lectures which we are going to discuss. But their variation in shape is very important to learn. Now in textbook you have just given a name of cell and the corresponding shape, but you should be able to understand, or you should ask a question to yourself, that why such shape is there. Starting with the first one, this is a red blood cell, right? You must be knowing this. That's a major type of a cell in the blood. You have three types of cells in the blood. One is definitely RBC, that is red blood cell, so called because it is red, and that red color is because of the pigment hemoglobin. Second is white blood cell, that is WBC, which is you can say that responsible for immunity in our body. And third is platelet, which is not shown in this diagram. So there are three types of cells, and starting with the first one, that is RBC. Now I would like to make slight correction in this full form that is mentioned in the textbook. It is right? You can call it as a cell, but truly speaking, these are not cells. Why these are not cells? Just before few seconds, we have learned that cell can be defined as a cell only when it is having cell membrane, nucleus, and intracellular components. Remember that RBC does not have nucleus. They are anucleated cell. Additionally, most of the intracellular organelles are also absent in the RBC, and that makes it a very special structure, and that's why they are commonly referred as a corpuscles, not as a cells. But in your textbook it is been termed interchangeably as red blood cell and red blood corpuscles. Okay, so as per textbook we will follow, and that's why you can, if it is been asked, the full form can be red blood cells. Okay, now there are two questions that arises in my mind, that definitely here what I am seeing, I am able to observe, is the shape of this RBC is round. So first question is why it is having a round shape. And second question that arises, that here there are two shapes that are mentioned. One is a round, definitely, but second is a biconcave structure, right? It is concave from both sides. Because it is concave from both sides, that's why you call it as a biconcave structure. So you will ask me, sir, is it like that? RBCs are of two types, one which are of round and one which are of biconcave shape. No, it is not like that. The reason is here why they have shown two different shapes is this is a top view and this is a side view, right? Say for example, if someone observe you from the top, say for example someone is standing on terrace and observe you, definitely what shape he will observe will be different. And someone who is just on the same floor where you are standing and will observe from front, definitely the shape will appear different, right? That's how you can imagine that how these two shapes have been shown here, right? So this is what RBC looks like when you observe from top in a microscope, and when they are in sideways, they observe they are just a biconcave or a dumbbell shaped structure. Now why there is need of such shape? That is the first question that we are going to discuss. Now for that you should be knowing what is the function of RBC. As we have discussed, they are of red color, and that red color is because of the presence of pigment hemoglobin, which is a respiratory pigment, right? Respiratory pigment means it is responsible for transfer of gases, primarily oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now because they are involved in such an important function, they should have a maximum surface area, and you know that maximum surface area that you can achieve with a shape, maximum surface to volume ratio that you can have is definitely with a round shape, and that is the reason why RBCs are not square, they are not a columnar, they are not elongated, they are not cuboidal, they are a round shape, right? So if someone asks you what is the shape, definitely you will be able to remember. But why this round shape? Now you will be able to answer. Okay. Now again you will ask, sir, okay fine, this is good. Round shape we have understood, but what about biconcave shape? So then remember that biconcave shape is also important. Let's have an explanation for this. So you know that these cells are moving in a closed circulatory system, right? What you call as a systemic circulation, right? And this systemic circulation, you have blood vessels. Consider a case that this is an artery and this is an RBC. Roughly I am trying to draw it as a round shape, right? So artery, when it goes towards the tissue, the diameter of this vessel, it becomes smaller. So artery becomes arteriole, and further if you go to the cells, then the diameter will be again narrower, right? It will be reduced. You will have a network of a tubules, what we call as a capillary, and it is through this capillary that oxygenation is possible, otherwise oxygenation is not possible. Okay. Now this RBC, which is having a size of 7 micrometer, right? This approximately is a 7.2 micrometer structure. That is the dimension in terms of diameter of an RBC. So for artery it is fine. RBC is able to move this artery within the artery. Even within the arteriole, you can say that okay fine, it will manage, right? This structure, sorry, right? It will be able to move this through this arteriole. But when it comes to capillaries, this structure, it is not possible that this 7.2 micrometer size will be able to move across this capillary space, right? Consider a case that you are in a very crowded place, right? Say for example, maybe a you can say amusement park, right? Or maybe say for example temples, right? Cricket stadium, and you must have observed at this crowded place, at entry point you have metallic pillars which are very closely arranged to each other, so that only one person can pass, and that also if a person wants to pass, person will change its orientation of the body, he or she will move sideways, and slowly, slowly through that narrow space they will pass. Similarly, RBC also, when it wants to move through this capillary space, it will move sideways, right? Where it is, the size here is just 2 or 2.2 micrometer in size. This is 7.2 micrometer, this is 2 micrometer. And this 2 micrometer is enough, right? It is narrow enough to pass across this capillary space, right? So that is the reason why this biconcave shape is also very important. Why it is important? Because this structure, this will help it movement, right? Its movement across the capillary space, and that is a very flexible type of, you can say that, cell membrane, and the shape, that is biconcave shape, which allows its movement. I hope it is clear that why it is round and biconcave. Okay, chalo. Again, a very important question that is asked from this section in the NEET examination, which was related to understanding. It is nowhere mentioned in the textbook, but it is regarding the understanding of your topic, and that is why RBC is devoid of nucleus. What is the reason that they don't have nucleus? In book it is also only mentioned that they are anucleated, right? But why they are anucleated, that you need to understand. Answer is again same, that because they want to maximize the transportation of the gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. That's why they don't have nucleus and major organelles, right? Because say for example, you consider a case that if a cell is of size 10 micrometer, approximately the size of nucleus is 3 micrometer, right? So nucleus occupies 30% of the volume of the size of, you can say that, a cell. And in that case, if such a big structure is present within a cell, rate of transportation will be slow. So to maximize it, RBCs throws the nucleus, right, during the phase of its formation, right, which you call as erythropoiesis. Okay, definitely we will also learn or revise this topic whenever we will learn circulatory system. Okay, moving ahead to the second important cell, that is WBC. And here, as you can see that, and as it is mentioned, the shape is amoeboid. What do we mean by amoeboid? So this refers to amoeba, right? You must be knowing a unicellular organism, that is amoeba, and oid refers to similar. So one which is similar to amoeba, that is called as amoeboid, and WBCs are amoeboid. It has to be of amoeboid shape because wherever there is infection in tissue, right? Say for example, again we will draw a diagram of you can say that a blood vessel. So here is a blood vessel, and this blood vessel is lined with some epithelial cells, right? So I am just showing two epithelial cells. Now here is an WBC, and this WBC, if say for example here there is an infection, there is a bacteria, this WBC should be able to move towards this bacteria so that it can eat this bacteria, right? A process by which a WBC can kill this bacteria, can eat this bacteria, is referred as phagocytosis. I am writing the spelling, it is P-H-A-G-O, phago. Phago refers to eat. Cyto, that is C-Y-T-O. Cyto, you just have learned just few minutes ago, cytology, that cyto refers to cell. Yes, very good. And sys, right? So sys means process. So now this difficult spelling becomes very easy to you because you understand the meaning. Sys refers to process, cyto refers to cell, and phago refers to eat. A process of eating a cell is referred as a phagocytosis, which is an important type of an movement of cell membrane, right? And this is achieved by throwing the pseudopods. Pseudo means false, pod means limb. A cell which is able to throw pseudopod Definitely it has to be of irregular size, right? So irregular shape, amoeba like shape, which can change its shape. And now you can understand why this shape is amoeboid, because the cell is capable of doing phagocytosis. It is capable of squeezing out of this space, narrow space between these two epithelial, you can say, cells, endothelial cells, right? Epithelia, which is present in the blood vessel, is called as endothelial cell. And you can just see that this is the movement, and now you can understand that why the shape is amoeboid. Okay, so this is how you understand. If you understand the physiology behind this shape, you will never forget the importance of this shape. Okay, chalo, moving toward the third one is columnar epithelial cells. Epithelial, definitely we have remembered in the last lecture. Epi refers to above, and thelium, that is a protective or a covering type of a layer. So one which is present above, that is called as a epithelial, right? Remember that the outer and innermost layer of the tissue, they are always made up of epithelial cells, which are of different types based on its shape. Say for example, they could be flat, and then we'll call it as a squamous, right? A tile like structure, that is squamous epithelia. A cube like structure, cuboidal epithelia. Column like structure, columnar epithelia. But in some organs, like say for example stomach, intestine, which are part of digestive system, some structures like trachea, which is a part of respiratory system, you have presence of such long and narrow structures. Why these long and narrow structures are there? Because the chances of erosion, chances of damage to the cells of stomach and intestine, because they continuously release digestive fluid, right? And because of the acids, the enzymes which are present in stomach, there is a chance that these cells may get damaged. Now consider that if these cells are flat, then this erosion will be very fast, and primary protective layer can be damaged, which could lead to a problem to the inner structures present in the organ. And that is the reason why they have a long structure. So even if this part is damaged, it will not lead to damage to the inside of the organ. Okay, and that's why you can imagine why they are columnar in nature. Okay, I hope you are getting the details that I am trying to explain. Fine. Moving towards the next cell is a special type of a branch and a long cell, and that is a nerve cell. Right? Actually, this type of neurons are very rare in the body, that you will learn in a chapter, that is a neural coordination, in the 11th science itself. But for understanding, let's check this diagram. Why this structure is branched? This structure is branched because it is designed to receive stimuli from various area. You cannot give nerve supply to each and individual cell as such in a form of a single neuron, right? That will create quite complication, and remember that these are very highly specialized cell. So in that case, if individual nerve cell is not possible for epithelial, connective or a muscular tissue, what you can do is a single nerve cell can give its branches to different cells. So you can just see that, consider that this is an area, large area of a skin. So this single nerve cell is able to receive stimuli from this area also, this area also, and this area also, right? It will receive the stimuli and it will send a message to your brain. That is why this structure is quite long, right? Because it is going to receive stimuli from a vast area, and also it is branched. So this characteristic regarding the shape of a nerve cell can only be understood if you are knowing its function. Okay, and that is the beauty of the biology. Right? So we have discussed 4 cells which are present in the animals and their shapes, and why these shapes are present, or what is the importance of this shape. That is what we have learned. Now we will discuss 2 cells which are present in plants. Right? So starting with the first one, trachea. Tracheids are elongated cells, as it is mentioned in the diagram, and they are present in xylem fibers, right? Xylem fibers are a type of, you can say that, cells or structures which are present in vascular plant, and they are responsible for the transportation of water. So tracheid is the one which is involved in transportation of water and minerals. So in that case, definitely if the transportation is the case, the structure has to be a long, right? So you can just see that then and then it is possible that you will travel few centimeters, and definitely if such layers of these tracheids are present, then and then you will be able to move water from root to the top of the tree. Otherwise it is not possible. Also check that it is having a one more layer, right? Here you just see that only one covering is there, that is cell membrane, while here there are two layers, that is one is cell membrane, second is cell wall, right? So that's a difference between animal cell and a plant cell, that plant cells, in addition to cell membrane, they have one more protective layer, and that is cell wall. So it's a prominent cell wall present in a tracheid, and this cell wall is a lignified cell wall. That means there is presence of a structure, chemical which is called as a lignin. Lignin does not allow the permeability to water, so water will move across the tracheid, but it cannot cross this layer of cell wall because lignin will not allow its passage. So then you will say that, sir, how this water will pass across this tracheid if it is required to the adjacent cell? So in that case you can just see that small structures which are called as a depression in the cell wall, here lignin is absent. These are called as a pits, and these pits will allow the movement of water. So such is a specialized cell, tracheid, which is elongated and having a lignified cell wall. This is not only important for the transportation, but also remember that this is important, this rigid cell wall is important for its structural characteristic, right? It will give because that structural support to the plant. Fine. Moving toward the last one, that is mesophyll. Meso, as it means, it is a middle, and phyll is because they are having presence of chlorophyll. Because they are having chlorophyll, that's why you called as a mesophyll, right? So from chlorophyll you can understand chlorophyll is definitely green pigment, and very important for the photosynthesis, right? Plant, definitely photosynthesis is very important. And again, just check the shape, that it is round and oval. So you remember round shape when it is important. Here also you can correlate. Round shape is important when you want to maximize the surface area, right? Here photosynthesis, to maximize the process of photosynthesis, definitely the surface area has to be highest, and definitely round shape will be the case. So that is the reason why mesophyll cells which are present in the leaf, right, and that is having a round or a oval type of an shape. Okay, so these are the details which are related with the shape. I hope you have understood. Just for a final revision in terms of questions, I am blocking these details. You just go through this name and the shape of the cell, and you can pause the video in between, and then you will try to answer that what is the name of cell and what is the shape of the cell, right? So I am locking this part. First one, yes, red colored cell, that's why RBC, red blood cells or red blood corpuscles. But what is the shape? So two answers should come into your mind. If you view from the top, it will appear as a round, and if you check from the sideways, it will appear as a biconcave. Very good. Chalo, moving toward the second one. Yes, very easy. This is a WBC, white blood cell. Okay, and what is the shape? Yeah, it looks like amoeba, right? That's why amoeboid. So next one, shape, very easy to recall, right? It's a long and a narrow structure, and that's why, and also remember that's a covering tissue. Covering tissue is referred as a epithelial, and it's a columnar epithelial cells, right? Chalo. Next one, this is a long structure, branch structure, right? And definitely it is a nerve cell, it is a neuron. Okay, chalo, very good. Here is an elongated shape, and definitely this is responsible for transportation of water and minerals, also for the structural support in the plant, woody plants, right? Vascular plants. That is a component of xylem fiber, what you call a xylem vessel, which you call as a trachea. Very good. Next one is one which is present in leaf, middle of the leaf, right? That's why, and having chlorophyll, that's why mesophyll. What is the shape? Round and oval. So with this we complete today's lecture. Okay, I hope you have received all the details regarding the shapes and you understood it well. Okay, thank you very much.